Hey everyone, my name is Anthony Faccenda and I'm a program supervisor at AIDS Project Rhode Island. In my role, I oversee the housing navigation program. So essentially what I do is meet with clients, do an assessment to see what their housing goals are, and then try to help them obtain those goals. So whether it's renting a private market apartment, uh, getting on a subsidized housing waiting list, obtaining emergency housing or shelter, just meeting the client where they're at, helping them obtain safe, stable, and affordable housing. So in this video, I'm going to show you just some of the tools that I use, some of the resources that I share with clients, and hopefully, they'll be helpful to you. This is intended to be, a brief overview. As many of you know, housing in Rhode Island can be pretty complex, difficult. Waiting lists take a long time, and it can be frustrating at times due to the lack of what's out there. There's a high demand for housing and not enough affordable housing, as we know. But hopefully by the end of this video, you have a better understanding of what's out there, and I hope you find it helpful. So first, I'm going to talk about emergency housing or shelter. So if you are in a position where you're homeless and you need emergency shelter, you can call the Coordinated Entry System. This is run by the Coalition for the Homeless and Crossroads. Their number, as you can see, is on the screen, and they help with shelter placement. This here is a diagram of kind of what the process looks like. So you it says walk in or call. Right now, due to COVID, you're going to want to call rather than walking in anywhere. But they're going to do a vulnerability assessment with you just to determine what your needs are and how to best serve you. So once they do the assessment, they're going to either refer you to shelter, emergency shelter. There's many throughout the state, or put you on a placement list for permanent supportive housing. So someone perhaps that's chronically homeless, has some co-occurring issues, perhaps behavioral health issues, they might be a good candidate for permanent supportive housing. Permanent supportive housing has wraparound services, including case management, behavioral health services. So, that may be necessary for some folks. There's a rapid rehousing, which is a permanent apartment and short-term rental assistance. So they would pay a high percentage, of your first month's rent, and then every subsequent month, their contribution is going to go down. So say Coordinated Entry System pays 80% that first month for you, then it's going to be 70, 60, 50, keep going down until you're paying for the apartment by yourself. And then lastly, they can provide you other housing resources, other referrals. So going back here, so that's pretty much covered emergency shelter. I also have the domestic violence hotline on this slide because the domestic violence agencies in the state operate shelters of their own, specifically for victims of domestic violence. So if you're ever in that situation or know anyone who is, the domestic violence hotline is a great resource for them. In addition to just shelter, the domestic violence agencies in the state provide, wraparound services to clients. They have advocates, some have clinicians to help people process what they're going through. And the goal, isn't to remain in the shelter, it's to transition out of the shelter. So some of the agencies have transitional housing of their own, permanent supportive housing of their own, and they can help you apply for other housing of your choosing. And last, I have BH link on here, which is behavioral health link. The reason I have them on an emergency housing slide is that if you are in a situation where you're homeless or housing unstable and you have behavioral health issues, perhaps substance use issues or any type of mental health issues, and you're in need of a higher level of care, they can assist you with locating inpatient or outpatient treatment programs, which could serve as temporary housing. So this kind of covers, what's out there for emergency housing in the state. So next, I'm going to tell you about the Rhode Island Housing Centralized Waiting List. This is a website through Rhode Island Housing, and it allows people to apply for various waiting lists with only a single application. So it's very simple. You register for the website. To register, you just need an email address and you create a password. If you don't have an email address, I always just suggest to clients or assist clients with just creating a Gmail account, which takes all of, several minutes to do. So once you register for the Rhode Island Housing site, I'm actually gonna show you, not actually register, but just show you what the website looks like. This is the website, waitlist-centralri.com. There's an applicant login page. You click applicant login and you want to click register for new account, and it brings you to this. So this is all you need to register. Name, social security number, phone number, like I said, email address, create a password, click register. That's it. So once you register, what you're going to do is they're going to ask you some more information. Do you have a job? Do you have income? What type of income do you have? Just basic stuff. That takes all of about 5 minutes. And then as you progress throughout the application, the last page is going to be the waiting lists. And there's a bunch of waiting lists that you can apply for. You're going to see various housing authorities for different cities and towns. So it's literally just one click apply for as many things as you want. And then you're going to get on those waiting lists. So it's important to distinguish. You're going to see on there housing choice vouchers or project-based vouchers. Sometimes housing choice is going to say HCV and project-based is PBV. So it's important to distinguish what those are. On their website, you're going to see, for example, Providence Housing Authority. That's a housing choice voucher. So if you go on that waiting list and eventually your name is called, you're going to get a housing choice voucher. Housing choice means, kind of like the name implies, you have the choice of housing. You're going to find a landlord that accepts that voucher. And you live with that landlord, say for a year, then you move out, you take that voucher with you. That's your voucher and you can use it elsewhere. A project-based voucher means that that voucher is tied to the building. So you get a project-based voucher for example, Charles Gate. It's a building in Providence. When you leave there, you don't take the voucher with you. It stays with the building. In both cases, you're going to pay a subsidized rate of 30%. So you're paying the same amount, but the voucher is different. So it's an important distinction to make. Also, there's various preferences on there. So if you're homeless, you're going to get a preference, meaning that it'd be hopefully a little bit easier or quicker for you to get into housing. There's a disability preference, there's a veterans preference, and other preferences. It kind of is an assessment for folks that if someone has a higher need, they're going to hopefully place them in housing quicker. So next, I have the rental resource guide. This is found on the Rhode Island Housing website. You can see the link here. It's basically all of the affordable housing options in the state. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. It's about 20 pages. Like I said, it's just all of the subsidized housing in the state. So the Rhode Island Housing Waitlist Central that I previously showed you in the last slide, that doesn't have all the housing. It's a number of housing options, but it's basically the housing authorities and the buildings that are participating in that program. If somewhere else you want to live that's not on that list, it'll be on this list. So as you can see, as I scroll down, it's in order by location. So you can see here, it says East Providence. These are all the East Providence options. This is their phone number. That's the name of the building. What you would do is call that number and request an application. That's it. Typically what I tell clients to do is ask them how long their waiting list is, because that may deter some people. They may say, our waiting list is 7 years. And someone may say, oh, I don't want to go on that waiting list. And they call elsewhere, our waiting list is 2 years. Okay, I'm willing to wait 2 years for that. If your top pick, you really want to live somewhere and their wait is 7 years, I say, still apply, because you can apply other places too. So you can live somewhere else, and then, eventually time passes and your name is called for the apartment that you really want. So as you can see on here, there's different letters to the left of the name of the building. So E stands for elderly, and D stands for disabled. So they count elderly as anyone 62 and older. So if you fall into that age range, you can apply for any of these housing lists that has an E next to it. H is homeless. F is family / individual. DV, domestic violence. There's a little key up here. Basically tells you everything. All of these options, you pay 30% of your income. So this is a really great guide, but typically what I tell people to do is apply for this first, the Rhode Island Housing Waitlist Central. It's literally going to take you 10 to 15 minutes to register and apply for all of those different housing opportunities. Then you're good to go. You're on those lists. This is for stuff that is, it's not on those lists. It's not, I can't click one button and apply for it. You're going to have to fill out a paper application, which does take a little bit longer, but still, there may be some things you really want on here. Some people really want to live in a certain city or town. This breaks it down for you. You want to live in Lincoln, it tells you all the places that are subsidized in Lincoln that where you may want to live. So this is a very valuable resource. So going back to our slideshow, next I'm going to talk about private market housing. So private market housing is like it sounds, it's housing in the private market. So these are apartments that you're going to find on, as you can see on the screen, Craigslist, Trulia, Zillow, HousingSearchRI.org. These are apartments that landlords are listing that that are not subsidized. So you said before, with subsidized housing, you're paying 30% of your income. These, you're going to typically be paying more than 30% of your income. You're basically paying whatever the landlords are pricing it at, whatever they're pricing a studio, a 1-bedroom, a 2-bedroom at. So it is going to be more expensive, but you can find some good apartments out there. That said, you should be aware of scams, which I'm sure many of you are, but I have had many clients fall for scams in the past. So typically I educate clients on these things. So I'm going to go through them one by one. Never pay a security deposit before seeing an apartment. So that's very important to keep in mind. If someone is trying to scam you, they're going to say, "Oh, can you send me the security deposit before you see the apartment?" You shouldn't do that. Always, see the apartment. Don't disclose any personal information, before seeing the apartment. So if you message someone on Craigslist, say you're interested in the apartment, they say, "Okay, well, first I just need to have your social security number." Don't do that. You could be a victim of identity theft. Don't give them any information. Meet with landlords in person before consenting to any background checks. Some landlords do credit checks, background checks, but meet with them in person first. Have a conversation with them. Know that they're really a landlord. Don't just give someone all your personal information and consent to those things before you've met them or seen the apartment. Some red flags: look for poorly written ads. There's ads with a lot of misspellings and it just doesn't make sense. That's a red flag. People that request cash, that's another red flag. Someone may say request that you send them money through PayPal or wire them money. Those are red flags. This is obviously before seeing the apartment. Also, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. And I'm going to show you a fake ad in a moment. And remember, lastly, it's illegal for a landlord to ask for a security deposit first and last. So that would mean that they're asking for 3 months rent all at once. It's illegal. They can ask for first and last or first and security, but they cannot ask for all three. And you will occasionally see ads online that are asking for all three. And if the renter doesn't know that, they're obviously being taken advantage of, and the landlord's getting an extra month's rent for free. So here is this is an ad that is on Craigslist right now, and this is fake. So just to go over it with you, I'm going to show you the flags that stand out to me. First, you see there's a typo. Instead of saying and, it says AMD, AMD. It says move-in ready, question mark, luxury, question mark. Then it says apartment for rent. So this does look like a luxury apartment, right? It looks really high-end. So that's a red flag right there. This is like a gorgeous apartment that you'd see, in a magazine, and it says it's $800, 2-bedroom. That is very atypical. You do not see 2 bedrooms that look like that for $800. So remember up here, it says apartment, right? We scroll down, right here it says it's a modern home. So that's another red flag. In the description, in the title, it says apartment. Down here, it says now it's a modern home with enormous open concept kitchen and living area and 3 large bedrooms. Up here, it says 2 bedrooms. Down here, 3 bedrooms. There's a lot of discrepancies in this ad. There are a lot of ads on online that look like this. So if you know what to look for, it's pretty easy to weed them out. And then what you can do is just click flag. So I've flagged that ad, so that'll notify Craigslist that that's a deceptive ad. And I do that all the time on here when I do see ads like that. So going back to our slideshow, this last slide I have on here goes over some rental and utility assistance options. So you found the apartment, right? You're about to move in, or your name has been called on one of those waiting lists. But perhaps you might have the money for a first month's rent, but not for the security deposit. So there are some options out there. St. Vincent de Paul is a great option. That's their phone number on the screen. If you call them, they're a Catholic organization. They'll link you up with whatever parish in your area may have rental assistance. So you're renting an apartment in the 02908 zip code. Call St. Vincent de Paul. They're going to tell you what churches in your area that may have rental assistance. There's also community action programs who sometimes have funding for rental assistance. On that rental resource guide I showed you a moment ago, that 20-page document, it lists all the community action programs towards the end of that. So all their websites and the phone numbers are all on there. There's also 211 sometimes has assistance options. Right now they have the Safe Harbor program, which is a way to help you stay in your apartment. So say you've fallen behind on rent, due to what's going on with the ongoing pandemic, they have the Safe Harbor program. So you can call 211 or visit the website on the screen, and they can help you with rental assistance. They work with the tenant and the landlord on providing money for back rent. There's also the HIV organizations in the state may be able to help with rental assistance. So at AFRI, we have a program that can help clients with rental assistance or utility assistance, and the other HIV organizations in the state, like AIDS Care Ocean State and Agape, also have similar programs. So if you do belong to any of those agencies and you need rental assistance, you could contact them or contact your case manager or whoever you work with. Also, there's utility assistance options in the state. The George Wiley Center their phone number and website is on the screen. They're kind of a utility justice program. So they help advocate for clients. They help with, if your utilities are threatened to be turned off, they can assist with that. They kind of just help you know what your rights are. If there's any shut-off programs or shut-off protection programs out there, they'll let you know. They're just a really great resource. If you owe money to National Grid, they do have a consumer advocate program. I have the information for that on the screen, as well as the contact person. So that's very important. Say you owe $1,000 to National Grid and you want to move into a new apartment, but it's predicated on you opening utilities in your name. You can't do that if you owe $1,000 to National Grid. You won't get that apartment. So if you do owe money, you can contact the number on your screen, and they can set up a payment plan with you. So as long as you're paying, you're on good terms with National Grid. So they may be able to cut off some of the late fees you may have accrued, and they can set up a payment plan with you. So last, that's just my information on screen, my phone number and email address. So, you can feel free to contact me if you have any questions regarding this presentation. And like I said, this was meant to just be a brief overview of what's out there, but hopefully you found it at least somewhat interesting, but hopefully informative. And hopefully it helps you on your quest to obtaining housing. So thank you for watching and take care.